Hello, everyone, and welcome back to God Got Your Girl. I am so glad that you guys are here today. I am honored to have my special guest, Sierra, with me. Oh, it's such an honor to have you, and it's just an honor to have this platform. If you guys didn't know, this is God Got Your Girl, and my name is Kendall. And my channel is all about sharing the testimonies of others so that we can bring light to darkness for people who need it. I've always seen testimonies as such a blessing and something that reminds me that God is still working in this world, honey. So I love to have people come on and share, and today I am truly honored to have my dear friend. I believe I can call you my friend. I know you got to be careful with that word, but I ain't got to be careful with you. So I have my dear friend Sierra Devoe, who is also the executive director and founder of Project Rise. And we are so glad to have you here today. I wanted to have you here because you have been a very intricate part of my life for these last 2 years. You are part of my kitchen cabinet, and you are also my fighter. If you don't know what a kitchen cabinet is, it's like, in your kitchen cabinet, you have your main ingredients, your seasonings, and things of that nature. Well, Sierra is definitely something I need to sprinkle on myself when I get down. She is one of my seasonings. She is also my fighter, who I just learned from watching Mike Todd's new Crazy Faith series. You have a circle of people around you, and your fighters are the ones that fight for you when you don't even feel like fighting. Your fighters are the ones that you can borrow faith from when you don't have it. And Sierra has definitely been that for me today. So I am so glad to have you here, Sierra.
Well, it's such an honor to be here, Ken, and you definitely can call me your friend. I'm gonna be in your kitchen cabinet, and you can call me your friend. But
Well, sometimes seasonings run out. You know what I'm saying? But
no, oh, we are more than friends. You are definitely my sister in Christ, and definitely in my kitchen cabinet as well.
oh, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. I ain't out hearing this alone.
Not out in these streets by yourself.
Right. Well, we all know that in these streets, especially when you label yourself, following God or label yourself as a Christian, it can be hard. Seems like it gets even harder once you truly decide to dedicate yourself on that journey. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on today and what I would hope that you will share is what I saw in you. And as I have seen you, and we are literally, I think, I don't know, maybe like anywhere between 8 to 10 years apart in age, um, you are so wise and you have so much confidence. I know people, they say confidence, but you have so much confidence and you can just see it in the way that you do everything from being a friend to being an employee with the women that we work with, to being an amazing social worker. I have seen your heart pour out into your nonprofit, Project Rise. And more than anything, I have seen you blossom into an absolute amazing mother and currently a fiance. And I just think that the confidence that you have is absolutely amazing because at your age, I didn't have that. I could barely look in the mirror and look at myself and how I looked, or, you know, I let all the things that I had been through truly define me. And I see that you don't do that. And I would love for you to tell your story of how you became the executive director, the founder, of Project Rise, and also just an amazing sister of Christ. Yes, you are just absolutely amazing, and I just love you, Sierra.
No, I love you, Ken, and I just want to say thank you for all those positive words because even now at times I don't feel those things. So that's why you're in my kitchen cabinet, also one of my fighters, because you definitely pour into me. Um, so I will gladly share my testimony to glorify His name because He's definitely been there for me. He's still there for me. He is definitely still on this walk with me. So as I did write it down because I just want to keep track. I want to make sure, all my points get across. But so if you hear some paper turning, that's what it is. But so I always I knew God from a young age. I remember going to church with my mom or with my grandma. We used to go to Green Forest. It's a Baptist church that was located in Decatur, Georgia. I remember always, going to church. Even when me and my sister would go to Alabama for the summer, we would go to church there. And that church service was long. I mean, I feel like when you need recess for the kids, you should have been ended the service. But that it was long, okay. Me and my sisters even went to like a Bible summer camp, I guess that's what you can label it as. So I knew of God from a young well, I knew about God from a young age. Now, did I know of God? No, not for myself, and nor was I trying to at that time. I mean, I'm a kid, so I always be amazed when people say, "Oh, I accepted Christ at the young age of 7 or 12," and I'm
Mhm.
just like, I wasn't thinking about that, but so yeah, so as time went on, I may have been like 11 or 12. I stumbled upon this children's Bible. And I'm just like, let me get to know this man. Like, my mom always, praising him. My grandma's always praising him. Like, let's see, what this is about. And it wasn't like a real relationship that I wanted to form. It was just more so out of curiosity. So as I'm like reading the Bible, uh, at the time I didn't know, but I was reading Gideon's battle. So
Mm.
he said he wet a fleece and he said, okay, if I awake and the fleece is wet and the ground is dry, then I believe whatever it was that God told him. So I was just like, that's how I'm about to test the Lord. So I'm about to go get me.
How you that little test that you got? Oh,
Oh, I said, well, let me go get this towel. I got one of my mama towels. I wet it up, put it on the carpet, and yeah, the next morning I woke up, the towel was wet and the floor was dry. Uh, I was amazed. I was just like, oh, okay. So I remember like, well, let me, try to at least live by like him or whatever. So I remember, reading, lying was a sin, and
mm-hmm.
you have to give a percentage back to the Lord. So when I was young, I was really into bracelets. Well, I still am.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, I was like accessorized. Okay, I had bracelets going up my arm, a typical middle school child. So I remember taking some of the bracelets off my arm and then throwing them out the window, like, "Here you go, God." Like, don't ever,
Oh, that is so sweet. That's your little percentage back to
right?
him.
Don't ever say I ain't never
Oh.
gave you nothing. But so I threw them out the window, and my little newfound relationship with God was very short lived. The very next day, I started doing me again. Like I said, when I first started, it wasn't like it was a serious moment for me. I just, out of curiosity. So, time is going on. And now I had to move to Michigan. I moved to Michigan by force. My dad still had custody of me. I was in eighth grade at the time. I don't know how old I was, maybe 14. However old you are in eighth grade, that's how old I was.
Okay.
And uh, my dad still had custody of me. He was in and out of jail when we lived in Atlanta. So him still having custody of me it just didn't make sense. But he did, because my mom never went down to the courts to change the paper because she never thought she had to.
Right.
So I remember uh, my mom checking me out of school early, and my mom ain't never checked me out of school early, ever, ever, ever,
I
never.
know your mom ain't check you out of school like she a teacher. No, you gonna get this lesson.
And my mom just sitting there, and now I'm thinking back, she actually she had kind of like, she was scared. So I didn't know. I'm just like, what's going on? She was like, we're gonna go to your grandma's house, and I'm just like, okay. So we get in the car, and literally, I'm not even out of, like, I guess my school's parking lot, because I went to a big school. Um, I just know a cop car swarmed behind my mom, and then it's my dad behind the cop car, and I'm just like, what's going on? So, make a long story short, the cop was just like, she has to go with him, like he has custody of her, and I'm scared. I'm just like, I've been living with my mama all this time,
Right.
like if if you wanted me to move to Michigan, this ain't how you do it. Like, but
Dramatic.
okay,
Talk
it
about
was just
childhood
not.
trauma.
It was just so much, and my sister just had my well, not just had, but just had my nephew. Like, my nephew might have been like a couple of months, and I'm at, I'm like, I want to go see my nephew. I want to, be an auntie. Like, I'm excited. So I'm just like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And my dad was just like, you know, you just want to stay down here because you chasing after some boy, you a slut, blah blah blah, a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm just like, my whole family lived down here. What are you talking about? But it was just not pleasant. Like, I remember him punching me in my nose, and I started bleeding. It was just a whole bunch of stuff, and that kind. And people, I felt like my family seen it, and I'm just like, why ain't nobody saving me? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? But and it's crazy because my dad, he was all about God. When he first moved to Michigan, he got baptized. He went back to his original last name, Caston. He stopped being, a Devoe. He went back to his last name as Caston. So I'm just, he was. I don't want to say your typical Christian, but your typical hypocritical Christian. He was very, very much so. Um, but even then, we went to church. So once again, I'm growing up surrounded by God, but not really learning Him for myself. And I should have, because my household was very toxic. My dad was very abusive. He was verbally and physically abusive to me and my stepmom because he got remarried. Um, and me and my stepmom did not get along because my dad would pin us against one another. So he'll tell me she said something, and then he'll go to her and say I said something, when actuality neither one of us said anything. So now I have this hate for this woman that ain't never said none of the things that he said. So I just felt like I had all these opportunities to focus on the Lord and get to know Him. Since my reality, pretty much sucked, I didn't, because I was focusing on my circumstances, as I think a teenager would have, a child would have, with that, um, I guess, mind and whatever. So I would say what really started my walk with God, what really made me be like, okay, like, I need somebody, was in 2011 when my dad went to jail for domestic violence. I was kicked out of my stepmom's house, rightfully so. I was not, like I said, we did not get along. So I, I was a firecracker. I was a hothead, and that's just me being very transparent. I had anger issues. Like you said, you couldn't say two things to me without me wanting to fight you. So, and it was just rightfully so. She kicked me out. So now I really felt alone because I don't have no family. My dad moved us up here with just him. So if you take him out the equation, I don't have any family up here.
Right.
So um, I don't know. I just like really felt alone, and I remember speaking with my mom through text, and I was just thinking to myself like, why am I not out the next thing smoking out of Michigan? Like, why am I
Mm-hmm.
still here? But knowing me, I could probably text my mama like, "Oh, don't worry about me" or whatever. I don't know. Like that's just the type of person that I was. And somehow I end up staying with my best friend at the time. I don't even know how that was lined up, but God definitely provided. Because I really can't even recall how that came about. But I'm forever grateful for um, my best friend at the time. Name was Laura, and her
Mm-hmm.
mom, Miss Martha. And Miss Martha really was like the first person to tell me to have an honest talk with God.
Mm.
Really, really talk to him. Like, how do you feel?
Yes.
And it was crazy because I remember, like, okay, I'm like, I'm talking to the Lord, I'm journaling some stuff and things like that. But I really wasn't telling him how I felt. So it's like when she told me that, it just hit different. It's like she gave me permission to be honest with him because I guess in a way I took on those societal notions of God, like you can't ask God why. You need to come to God holy and clean and pure already. And all those things that society tell you how God is.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just honest with him. I was pissed off. Like, how do you allow this to happen to a child? Like, why? Like, I was thinking like, why me? Like, I didn't ask to be in Michigan. My dad, literally threw me in a car with nothing on my back. Like, I didn't get to pack my clothes. I didn't step foot back in my mama house. I don't even think I told my grandma and my auntie bye. Like, so why? Like, just for me to be in this predicament. So finally, I ended up moving back with my mom. I, came back to Atlanta, and at this time, I was in 2011. I was in 11th grade, so I still was in school. So my high school was sending me paperwork, and we was talking about me transferring to
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, and I was just like, "Oh no, baby, that ain't gonna work." Cause I, I'm not trying to make new friends. Like I'm already socially awkward, and it's not like I had any friends in middle school. So why would I, want to? No. And plus, the way I grew up, I grew up, in poverty. Poor. I mean, roaches in it. I did not want to go back. So I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. So I came back to the chaos. And my dad ended up finding an apartment in Westland. But I went to school in Ferndale, and we did not have enough money for me to go to school because we didn't have enough money for gas. So I couldn't go to school. So I missed days of school. I remember my mom sending me gas money, and she would tell me like, only put in the tank when you going to school. Don't put the whole thing because your dad. If you do, he gonna run it to E, and you're gonna be in the same predicament. So I did exactly what she told me to, and of course, my dad did not take, you know, light to that because he was just like, you don't care about me. You don't care how I'm going to get to work. And I was just like,
You're a child.
I was just like, look, you got to know your peoples. Like, I know if I put the whole thing in the tank, it ain't, like mama said, it ain't going to be nothing left for me to go to school. But, and I just remember like when I get older and I get a job, I'm not going to have to ever worry about gas. Like, I'm not doing that. And to make things easy, I end up staying with my other best friend, who is still my best friend to this day, just so I could have a ride to school. And yeah, so now my relationship with God again is like getting rocky because my dad is now more prevalent as an alcoholic. So now he is still, physically and verbally abusive. Like, but I mean, this time it was like more intense. Like I would he would give me black eyes, or my nose would bleed, or things like that. Like I remember one time we was coming, he had picked me up from school, and he was just like, I forgot what he asked me, either for rent money or lights or something, or not all of rent money, just half. But I did not have it. I was broke. I had no job. So like, where did you think I was gonna get this money from? But either way it go, he just, we in the car, he driving, he just started beating me. He was just like, I'll kill us both. And we was on, I think, Southfield Freeway.
Oh my goodness.
So, or is that M10? Whatever connects 96 and
Mhm. Mhm.
so we was on that freeway. And I just remember like my nose was leaking. I, got a black eye. And our car interior at the time was cream. So the blood splattered on obviously our interior or whatever. So um, the next morning, I remember him like, scrubbing out the blood, crying, like, I just don't want to get that mad again. And I was just like, okay. And my relationship once again just got rocky with God. But this time I hated God. I was just like, I cannot walk with you. Like, I keep ending up in these predicaments like that. I don't understand them. I'm a child. Like, I'm a kid. I cannot fend for myself. I should not have to be fighting this grown man, you know? So, I hated God, but it's crazy because something still in me, like, had a little belief. But I did not respect that feeling. I was just like, no, that ain't real. And I was talking to my nanny, which is my grandma. She's my dad's mom. Um, and I was just telling her, like, yeah, I don't believe in God and blah, blah, blah. And she was just like, don't let your circumstances, I guess, change your relationship with God. And I was just like, at the time I didn't understand. I was just like, girl, what you talk about? That's all I'm gonna use to, to define like this relationship. So I just felt like God wrote me off, and I was just like, well, you know what, God, I'll match your energy. I'll write you off too. So, uh, and I just felt like I didn't need him. And after that, I, just living my life really. I still graduated high school, top 10 of my class, got accepted into Spelman.
Wow.
Couldn't afford Spelman, so I ended up at Wayne State. So I'm getting all of these accolades in life, checking the life's checks box. And I'm just like, yeah, but honestly, I'm still having an unpleasant experience. I mean, a chaotic state of affairs was my life. Like, something, I was always into something, always running behind somebody. Like, I was just constantly really looking for love in all the wrong places. And yeah, I was just constantly running after some boy. It was just like really a hot ghetto mess. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, sis, what you doing? Like, you all over the place. And you all over the place because you all over the place. So you can't even focus on one thing. You out here tripping. And that's really how I felt. And I remember at a time, and now we like rolling into 2016, and my friend mentioned reading 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. Now, just a disclaimer, was I chasing after this young man? Absolutely. Like I said, I was always, always chasing after somebody, but isn't it amazing how God will meet you where you at?
Girl.
So
Yes.
that's what I was doing. I was reading Sierra is kind, Sierra is patient, Sierra is not boastful. Girl, I was just, I'm reading the scripture because I'm thinking like, oh, this is something I'm doing with somebody I like. This is beautiful. But I gained so much more. I really started taking my walk with God and self-improvement serious. I just really had this newfound joy, especially after I read the Bible more. I'll be reading the Bible like, oh, I don't understand that. And
Mhm.
the next scripture would like further explain. And I'm just like, well, thank you, God. So, I just was happy. I was really happy. Like, somebody could be cussing me out and I'll still be smiling. Like, okay,
Right.
I am, I'm not those things, but if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But,
Wow.
but it was just a good time with me. And I was just like, yeah, I can rock with this God. So now our relationship is forming and I'm getting to know him more.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, well, let me start looking for a church home. So y'all know I still live in Westland till this day. So I tried going to church out here and I just did not have that connection to
Mm-hmm.
Caucasian pastors. So I was just like, well, you know what? I was like, I gotta find a church home. And I only had two requirements. The pastor had to be black, and I just needed the church service not to be long. Like I needed it to, I needed it to end. Okay. So my friend was like, oh, come to my church. The pastor's black and we get out at 10:30. And I said, oh, bet I can do that. Like, this is amazing. So the church was in Southfield. It was called New Life Christian International Ministries. And the pastor is Dwayne Duncan II. And when I tell you he was preaching ahead of his time because he was really preaching the organic gospel against religion before it was a trend. So
Mm-hmm.
now people are getting their eyes open, but he's been doing that, and that allowed me to truly get to know a God with the real intentional characteristics that he had and the real gospel that he wanted spread. So I'm excited. I get to church and I sit down. Girl, they had a guest pastor that day, and the guest pastor was white. So I was like,
God is funny. He's funny.
okay, like I'm already here. And girl, when I tell you that was the best message though, the best mess, and it really is the message that is really a part of my foundation because the message was about self worth and identity. Um,
Mm.
which was something I was very much struggling with at the time. Um,
Mm.
so now my relationship is strengthening, and God's showing me He's for me and He's with me. He's showing me evidence. But like I said, I was still struggling with my self worth and my image. So I was still looking for love in all the wrong places, belonging in all the wrong places, validation in all the wrong places, um, and because of that, I was still getting overlooked, misused, and abused, and I was still indulging in things that wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember kind of whispering, like, this is enough, like just in the past, when I was just like, you need some self respect. Like, what are you doing? And that's how it was. That had to be the Holy Spirit, but uh, even though I said it was enough, it wasn't really a strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I declared at that moment I needed some self respect. So I started walking with my head a little higher. Started walking with my head a little higher, but I still wasn't walking like I was God's child. So then I had a hit in my finances. I had just graduated college, and I kept getting these mediocre jobs, and I'm just like, okay, I did what y'all told me to do. Like, why I'm broke? Like, why am I like, why am I not getting a job that pays more? I'm still making the same salary as if when I used to work 3 jobs back in college. I might as well go back and doing that. At least I was making more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now I get these self-worth issues because of course you're not content no more. Like,
Right.
when you equate your worth with like
Mm-hmm.
things that you have, which I did to cover up the hurt, from my, not even like from my past, like just to equate with my self-image, like, oh, you can't call me ugly, girl. Do you see the car I drive or the clothes I'm
Mm.
wearing or whatever?
Okay.
So I couldn't do that no more. So I was just like, oh, they gonna see the real me. Um, and then after that, another chaotic event happened. Another chaotic events happened. I'm just angry. Um, angry with my boyfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's my fiance now, but as you know, but but at the time I was just angry with my boyfriend, just mean, just I dropped out of grad school because I just did not. I don't know what it was. I just was an angry person. Um, then I end up getting pregnant in 2018. And my dad ended up crashing a car that I had put in my name for him. And he was like, you need to get the car fixed. And I was just like, well, I can't, because I need to make sure me and my child have a place to stay. Like, I'm saving up for that. So I'm not worried about no car that you crashed because you was, kind of driving under the influence.
Oh dear.
So that was a big mess. And he was just like, oh, you evil spirited. And I'm just like, I'm pregnant, so my
Mm.
emotions are heightened. And I was just like, I'm like, what? I'm like, it was just a whole bunch for me. And we end up getting into it. He cussing me out, calling me everything in the book but the child of God. And I kind of, put my arm up to defend myself because he was, coming close.
And his history is to hit you.
Yeah, so I put my arm up, and he was a little drunk, so he stumbled back and he fell on my bed. And I guess I don't know if that I don't know, like, what, maybe that upset him because he was like, how dare you push me? And I think he was probably more upset at the fact that he fell back. But you didn't fall back because of my strength. You fell back because you were drunk. So um I hear him on the phone with the cops, like, my daughter hit me and I need the cops here ASAP. And I was just like, oh no, baby, that ain't gonna work. Like, let me pack my stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to go, like, I just go to my best friend's house. Like, you ain't gotta do all that. So the police end up coming, and they have to remove the perpetrator. Like, they have to remove you. So I end up going to Westlands, I guess, holding cell. So I end up going
Pregnant.
pregnant. And well, you know what? I could not do big girl jail because when I tell you the most, it's just a no for me. But I'm just sitting there in disbelief because I'm like,
Yes.
what is going on? Like, I knew me and my dad, we ain't the tightest, but I would never dare do that to him. Like, what? So I'm just like, I mean, I'm in disbelief. And the cop who was like, I guess you can say booking me, he asked me like what happened. And, I told him, and he was just like, don't go back there. He said, I don't know, like, if you have, somebody you can lean on, whatever, but
Mhm. Mhm.
do
Mhm.
not go back there. So and I just remember like sitting in the cell, and all I remember is like really just being calm. And I was just like, I choose me. Like, not because I'm pregnant, but just because I never did that before. I never chose me. So I was like, you know what? I choose me. Um,
Mm.
and at that time, whatever that looked like, whatever that looked like. So I was just like, I understand. I'm back at square one again. Like, what's really going on? So I end up staying with my best friend because literally me and my fiance had just got the apartment, and it was like maybe I'd say maybe like 3 or 4 days lapse, like where the apartment was ready. So I was
Mhm.
with my best friend like me for those days. And I just remember like just crying at my best friend's house because when I went to jail, I didn't have anything. I didn't grab my car keys. I only grabbed my ID because the police was like, you always should take your ID. But nothing. I didn't have my car keys, nothing. I ain't even have my coat, nothing. So I was just like, I can't do this again. Like, I can't fight again. Like, I cannot continue to fight for me. Like, I cannot do that. Like, the last time sucks. Like, I don't want to go through this again. So, and I just remember thinking, like, why are you crying? You, like you said, you've been here before. So you got experience. So fight back. And that's exactly what I did. I fought back. My dad was not giving up my car key, like, at
Mm.
all. So I had to get a car key remade, just whatever it took, like, to ensure that
You could get away from
I
that.
could get away. And me and my fiance, we went to the house. We packed up all my stuff, and it's funny because my dad was supposed to be at work, and we lived in like these sky rise apartments. And
Mhm.
so as we getting off the elevator, my dad is coming. So he's waiting on the elevator. So we're the people who's getting off. And my fiance ain't really never met my dad enough to memorize his face. So he like, what up, G? And I was just like, and he was just like, what? I was like, that was my dad. Then he was just like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I felt like you saying what up to the enemy, but
Did your dad know? Did he see you?
yeah, he saw me. So it was, ain't nothing really happened. I think my dad was more shocked, like, oh, this
He's
time
coming to
for
get her.
real, she ain't coming back. Like, and that was always his, I guess falling grace. Like, I didn't have no family, so I always did have to come back. And
Mm.
this time, no, I wasn't coming back. So I fought for me, paying that car off because I still owed on that car. Like I said, my finances took a hit, so I was in debt. Just really creating a plan financially, like to just get out of debt, get closer to the Lord, stop being so angry. And it was rough and it sucked, but I I made it out, and I was doing better, and I was like, oh well, I was like, yeah, this is good. I'm doing good, and in fact, I was not doing good.
Why do you think
I
you
know
were doing good?
this is a roller coaster. The pandemic hit, and I noticed that now that I'm forced to, I was forced to, sit down. Everybody was. All you got is your thoughts now. You don't have to worry about, all the hustle and bustle of things like, oh, when I'm gonna get to work, let me do this
Mm-hmm.
commute, let me do this, let me do that.
Everything was shut down.
Yeah, so everything hit me. And I noticed once again, I just never dealt with my self-worth issues. And I never dealt with the ugly side of my love story.
Mm.
Because I never dealt with that resentment I had towards my fiance. And I definitely didn't deal with the anger I had towards myself for allowing that to happen to me, for allowing me staying with um, a dude that long who honestly was not considerate of me. So, how he became my fiance, that's a different story. But but of course, I will elaborate on any questions that you have. I'm an open book. I just didn't deal with a Sierra mess, because Sierra was just too busy trying to still get the accolades in life. Make sure I
Mm.
get the bag, I get my money up, I do this, I get the car I want. Doing all that, really what I was doing, I was covering up the hurt. So
Once again,
once again,
like when I remember you were saying, like after you graduated and then you had, the car, the clothes. Like, I know you ain't talking about me. Look at what I got. Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. So that just repeated itself again.
yep, once again. And I realized I never really connected to God. Like, yeah, I believed in him, but I wasn't following him. I was still
Hmm.
out here walking around spiritless. Honestly, that's what it was. I was walking around without him. So during the pandemic, I just really was like, I need to go to therapy. Like, obviously, what I think healing look like, or how I think, like, where my hurt stem from, I'm getting it wrong. I'm missing the mark because I keep ending back up at this, at my self-worth issue. Like, I keep
Hmm.
ending up at this same start line, I guess, if we had to measure it. So I went to therapy, and I got introduced to a gratitude journal. So just always expressing gratitude and always expressing joy. And then I also was surrounded by you and Tara and Jerry and Tori, who just poured into me and who showed me, like, God got you, like, literally. Like, look, no name play intended, but but seriously, God got you, girl. Like, so I took therapy serious. I expressed everything, even like the ugly, like some ugly things. Even my therapist was in there like, girl, you did that. Yup, I did.
Girl, I was talking to my therapist today. I understand.
So I took it serious and always expressing gratitude. And I can say that I shown up. I finally shown up in my life. I decided who I won't even say I decided. God showed me who I should be. And I said, okay, God, I will become that. And he constantly, you know, put me in tests to ensure that I become that person. But I'm grateful for him. I shown up. Like I had to forgive my old self for doing things when I wasn't present. That was a part of me, letting go of the hurt my fiance caused me. Cause ain't no way I was still. That's a different story. That was the spirit. That was the flesh about to come out. Gotta tame it. Gotta tame it. Not today, flesh. But but I was angry, and even then, like I found my new self, and my new self is awesome. I look in the mirror, I see, God fearing somebody powerful. I still had resentment towards my old self. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like I had this little. It was like my new self was all prissy, nose stuck up, and was looking at my old self like, ugh, pathetic, trash. Like, and I was just like, how? And when you have that battle within yourself,
Yes.
it's tiring, and that's really an understatement. But it's just not a pleasant time. It's funny. Me and my fiance, we have like this little slogan that he taught me, like when something's not really, becoming of you, or it's just, we always say not sexy. It was not a sexy time. Like just not sexy. But I'm just grateful because God definitely did not have to he didn't have to save me. Nor did he have to send his beloved son to die for me.
Girl.
So I'm just in a new awe for Jesus
Mm-hmm.
and God. And it's crazy because all the things I feel like the devil sent my way to destabilize me or discourage me, it still pushed me closer to him. And
Yes.
Lucifer, I know you down there, man. Back to the scoring board. Like, let me see what else I can do. But let me see how else I'm about to trip her up. But
Girl. And he keeps making the things around you um a part of God too, which continues to just bring you back. So even if you do, we all have these moments, right? We're all human, or we go in this roller coaster with God, and you could be in your highest most faith, and something happen, and you just be like, "Where's the moon and the stars? Where the candles at? Where the sage? Because this ain't working."
okay, and it can be the littlest, I mean, minute things. Like today,
Mm-hmm.
like I was telling you, like, oh, I was anxious and I didn't know where this anxiety was coming from. Like I was getting ready, and I was just like, something bad gonna happen. And as soon as I was able to like to put on my lashes in one try, like not have to take off one and put it back, I was like, yeah, something for sure gonna happen. Cause like I ain't never had that. That ain't never happened to me. But
The devil, he is so busy trying to put these things in your head so you won't get here today, so people can't hear your story.
yep. So I went to go get like my eyebrows waxed, and I told you like my lady was still out of town, so I did not get the chance to. And I just started laughing because I was just like, you thought an eyebrow wax was gonna stop me. Now in the past, it might have, okay, it might have, but no, I'm still going to go home, get some concealer myself, cover up the hairs, and we still gonna carry on. We gonna proceed with glorifying His name. So
Yeah.
I'm just I'm just excited, and it was rough getting here, and I'm just grateful for the test that God gave me to help me become who He needed me to be, and of course I'm even more grateful for the test He didn't throw my way, but
No, learn from me. Learn from somebody else. Learn from somebody else's testimony. Wisdom. Don't
Mhm.
walk into that door. Keep that closed.
Yep. And that's why it's so important to share your testimony. Your story is not just yours.
No, it's not. It is so not. Your story is not just yours, and everything that you go through. Like, I was just thinking, like, Sierra was trying not to cry. Like, I never knew that you went through that. Was like you hear that story about abuse usually with like a marriage or a relationship, a romantic relationship. Um, but I guess just me being a parent, and even with the dysfunction I had growing up, I could never see, my parent physically hurting me like that. And for you to have gone through all of that, and for me to know when I got to know you, I never seen any of that. Like, when I tell you, you were just such a light for me. And normally, when people go through those kinds of things, a lot of times they take it out on others. Um, you never did that. You never did that to me. I don't think you ever did that to anybody else that's around you, that knows you, that talks to you. You're just such a beautiful person. And I know the steps, some of the steps that you took were like going to therapy and just really um getting back with your relationship with God, reading those words, even though at the time you were chasing a guy, but those are significant words about yourself and who we are in Christ, and even me, like right now, I'm going through this whole accepting me journey, and I fall on, these scriptures to just truly help me. But I say all that to say, if there's somebody who might be experiencing the very exact thing that you are experiencing, whether they're in a relationship with their parents, or with a gentleman, or anything, like what would you tell yourself? What would you tell the Sierra that was in the car, that had her nose busted and black eye, and looking like, I could only imagine, like, looking at your dad like, you are my father. And for you to now go through all of that, go through being away from your mom, person in your family, your aunts, your sisters, the people that you felt like truly love you. You're still away from them because you're still in Michigan,
Mhm.
you know. But when, like you said, when you look in the mirror, you see a powerful young woman. You see a young woman with dreams and hopes, not that you created, but that God put in you, and you work towards every day to be who God asked you to be. What is some advice you would give to someone who may be going through that same exact thing so they can get where you are today?
I think the advice I would give them is, of course, keep God as your center. I know, like, as cliche as that sounds, truly keep Him as your center. Because I can't tell you that you can, well, get up and go, because that's not always possible. But what is possible is growing through what you're going through. So I would just say go through it and know that God got you. He's protecting you, even protecting you from things that you can't see. He's lining things up, even when you didn't ask. Because a lot of things lined up in my story that I didn't plan for. I didn't strategize for. So, really, just knowing and being content in Him. That's one thing you always gonna have to fight for in this life is contentment. And just always be content in Him, knowing that He will provide. And once you continue to progress in Him, He's going to continue to bless you with more.
Yes.
And just know that you're going through, you know, you're going through this for a reason. One thing that, my pastor, I use now to this day, like whenever I go through something, I just be like, this gonna make one hell of a testimony. And it just helped me attack it. So, and that's just what I tell myself now whenever I go through something. Because it's even after you become content in God, and the troubles are still going to come. The mishaps and the trials are still going to come. But I know that I'm content in the Lord now. And I know what being content in the Lord has done for me. So that is the advice that I give back, is be content. I can't lie and tell you that you don't have to go through it. It's part of your journey. It's part of your path. Embrace it. And when you come out on the other side, share your testimony and be proud of yourself.
No matter what you've been
No matter what you do, no matter what. Because whatever your calling is or whatever the purpose is, it's yours. It doesn't always have to be, you know, some big dog or some CEO or something or whatever. Whatever your light is, share it in that capacity of what you can, because it's going to make a difference. It all works out for the greater good anyway, God's
Mhm.
purpose. And that's what we're here for.
It is so true. Um, and your testimony is so powerful. I don't know if you've been looking or you can see, but we've had just some comments of people who either one never knew you were going through that, so that just goes to tell you how good God is, okay? Um,
Don't
because
be like
nobody
me,
ever
girl.
knew. And then just how powerful your testimony is. You know, if you are listening today and it resonated with you in any way, um, like Sierra said, know that, and this is literally no pun intended, that God got you, like for real. I'm so serious. It's so funny because even even that was not something that came from me. Um, the whole God got you girl platform. This is literally a place where people can do exactly what you just did and share your testimony in hopes to give somebody else some light in their day. And I just truly thank you for being open enough to share. That's vulnerable. That's vulnerable. That's vulnerability. To share your story, to share how you truly felt, to share the angriness that you had with God, because it's real. And you know what? It doesn't make God love us any less. Um, Even when, you know, the things that you were doing because you were angry, like you said, just searching for love in all the wrong places, doing things that you knew you really had no business doing, God was still with you and He still loves you
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. And sometimes He takes us through more afflictions just so we can reel our little tails right on back um, to Him, and just really understand that, you know, walking this life is not easy, but it's a lot better with God.
Absolutely. 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 And those inflictions that, I went to, it just introduced me to my character. It introduced me to who I really was beneath the funk that I guess created and took on throughout this life, that a lot of us do. It allowed me to get back to my core, to who I really was. So that's what allowed me to look in the mirror and see, um, to just see God's child,
Mm-hmm.
to see, like, to help me understand, like, God, I was confused why you had your hand wrapped around me, but I'm starting to kind of see why. No, I still don't think I'm worthy, but I'm I'm definitely always becoming, and it's a journey. I'm not gonna stop becoming until I'm up there with God, and He turning that water into wine. So, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding,
You're
but
so sweet.
or am I?
See, to the super real. That's who Sierra is. You know, that's my CJ.
But yeah, I'm not. My journey isn't done until I'm up there with the Father, with my Father. So
That's so true. And this is really hard for me because you guys know I do not like to pray in the open and in public. However, we always get like these inklings or like these little pits or feelings in our stomach that you need to do something. And this is something I've never done on my channel. I don't even know if I'm going to do it right, but I'm going to try. And it is, if you have not accepted Christ in your life, or say you have accepted Christ in your life and you just want to build that relationship back with Him, you can. There is absolutely nothing, nothing in this world that you can do that can separate yourself from Him. And if you don't believe me, just try Him. Because I, this last year, have truly just tried Him, and I am, like you said, am in awe. So I offer this time for you to accept Christ in your life. And it's very, very easy. All you have to do is come to God and say, Dear Lord, I accept you in my life. I want to make you the head of my life. Forgive me for my sins. I believe that you rose again and you sent, I believe that you sent your son to die for us and he rose again. And I believe that because of this, I have the ability to have a relationship with you. I ask you to come into my heart and to guide me. Guide me in my thoughts, guide me in my ways, guide me in my actions, and allow me to be who you already set me out to be. You knitted me in my mother's womb. You have a purpose for me, and that is the life that I choose to live. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
amen.
And if you said that prayer, it's just that easy, literally, just that easy to be able to start your life with God. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with me because I ain't never done that before. But I just felt called to do that. And I pray that this testimony and all of these platforms that I bring upon um, the channel, that it helps you and that it brings you closer to Christ. So, thank you again, Sierra, for being here today, and thank you for sharing your testimony. Thank you for everybody that tuned in and that was active in the chat. We truly appreciate it. And thank you for all of you who will watch this rebroadcast later. We truly, truly appreciate you. If you have any questions going forward from here, please reach out to me. You can reach out to Sierra. Sierra, do you want to share like how they can reach out to you?
Yeah. So you can email me. You can email me at, I don't know if you put this in the chat, but
Mhm.
Sierra S Devoe at gmail.com. Um, I would say text me, but but I don't know who really gonna be watching.
Right, right.
But please email me, and then I gladly share my phone number with you. But yes, please
Yes.
email me. I don't have an Instagram. Only Instagram I have is for my nonprofit. So I can't say reach out to me on Instagram, but please reach out to me on through email.
Wonderful. And she's so modest. But Project Rise is absolutely amazing. You guys, it is birthed through what the vision that God gave her, and she is moving forward to truly help His people be a better steward with their finances. Okay, I am a member. I absolutely love it. And I encourage you, if you want to see what they got going on over there at Project Rise, check her out at projectrise.net.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
But check us out on the third, because that's when our website go back
Oh.
live. Don't look at it now.
Oh,
Look.
November 3rd.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Don't go look at it right now. You know, transparent.
Well, thank you again, Sierra, for being a part of this journey with me. And thank you all for tuning in to God Gotcha Girls Monday Testimonies. We will see you guys soon. And until next time, God bless you all. Bye bye.
Bye.